What if the hardest endings in your life were secret beginnings? Hermetic wisdom whispers a profound truth. You must die to what clings to what must leave. This isn't about physical death. It's about an initiation, a deep, quiet shedding of who you were to become, who you're meant to be. The losses you've faced might not be punishments, but rather sacred moments, carving a path to something far more divine. In Hermeticism, an initiation isn't a warm embrace or a golden milestone. It's a quiet, searing death, a letting go of the old to make way for the new. This death strips away the parts of you that have held you back, an identity you wore like armor, a memory you leaned on, a will that kept you stuck. It's a moment of profound transformation, not through addition, but through subtraction. Think of a moment that felt like a devastating ending, a relationship that unraveled, a dream that collapsed, or a version of yourself you had to leave behind. I once knew a woman who walked away from a decade-long career, convinced it defined her. That choice felt like a funeral, but it opened the door to a life she hadn't yet imagined. She had to let the successful professional die to discover the creative artist she was meant to be. This wasn't a choice, it was a necessity. Hermetic wisdom sees these moments as initiations, where something must die for truth to take root. Have you ever lost something that felt like losing yourself? That loss might have been the veil lifting, revealing the start of a new, truer path. It's in that space of nothingness, after the death, that the new foundation is laid. We often cling to identities like lifelines, labels like successful, strong, or certain. But initiation demands their death. It isn't a cruel act. It's as necessary as a snake shedding skin that's become too tight to hold its growth. These identities aren't the real you. They are masks built from expectations or fears. The truth is, we create these identities to feel safe. We tell ourselves stories like, I am the dependable one, or I am the rock of my family. These roles serve us for a time, but they can quickly become prisons. When life inevitably shifts, and that identity is no longer tenable, the forced shedding can feel like a profound personal failure, but Hermetic wisdom offers a different view. The crumbling of an identity is an act of grace. It's the universe's way of showing you that you are more than the labels you've accepted. I remember a man who prided himself on being the sole provider for his family, until a sudden illness took that role away. The loss broke him open, forcing him to find his worth beyond the mask. He had to face the terrifying question, who am I if I can no longer do what I was always meant to do? The answer wasn't a new title or a new role. It was a new way of being, defined by his presence and his heart, not his productivity. That's the death initiation brings. A stripping away of who you thought you were to reveal what you truly are. Think of a time you had to let go of who you thought you needed to be. Did it feel like you were falling apart? Hermetic wisdom says that fall is sacred, a death that clears the way for your truer self to emerge. Memories can act as anchors, holding you to a past that no longer fits. Hermetic initiation asks you to let them die, not to forget them, but to release their grip. It's the pain of leaving behind a story you've carried, whether it's a deep regret, a past triumph, or a lingering wound. We often retell these stories to ourselves and others, allowing them to shape our present. We cling to a past mistake as proof of our incompetence, or to a past victory as a reminder of our fleeting glory. But every time we relive a memory, we give it power over our present moment. The pain of a past hurt can keep us from opening our hearts today. The pride of a past success can blind us to new opportunities. I recall a woman who clung to a childhood memory of a failure, letting it define her worth for decades. Every new challenge was filtered through the lens of that old story. I'm not good enough. Facing it and finally letting it go felt like losing a part of herself. But it was the only way to be free. Initiation doesn't erase the past. It burns away its power over you. It transforms a fixed point in time into a lesson, freeing the energy that was once bound to it. Think of a memory you've held too tightly. What happened when you started to loosen its hold? That release is a death, and Hermeticism calls it a step toward a new way of being, where your past informs you but no longer defines you. Your will, the drive to control, to plan, to hold tight, can be the hardest thing to surrender. Hermeticism says initiation demands its death, not to weaken you, but to align you with a greater purpose. It's like a river trying to fight its own current. Letting go allows you to move with the natural flow. Our human tendency is to believe that we can, and should, direct every aspect of our lives. We create 5-year plans, we try to force outcomes, and we exhaust ourselves fighting against the currents of life. But true power often lies in a different kind of strength, the strength to surrender. This is not about being passive. It's about being discerning enough to know when to push and when to release. The death of will is the realization that a plan created by a limited perspective is often inferior to the path a deeper wisdom reveals. I knew a man who meticulously planned every step of his life until a sudden, unexpected move across the country upended his control. Fighting it brought him nothing but exhaustion. Surrendering to the change, however, brought him clarity. He was forced to trust in a new beginning without a map. That surrender was his initiation, a death of his will that let a deeper purpose emerge. By letting go of his need for control, he opened himself to a new kind of freedom and joy he had never planned for. Recall a time you had to let go of control, maybe a plan that failed or a future you couldn't force. Did it lead you somewhere unexpected? That's the death of will, and Hermeticism sees it as a gateway to a truth beyond your own plans. Every death in an initiation of identity, memory, and will clears space for a divine pattern, a truer version of you. Hermeticism doesn't promise easy answers. It offers alignment with something vast, like stars shifting into place. It's the difference between building a house with a blueprint and watching a seedling grow. The divine pattern isn't something you construct. It's something you allow to unfold. This emerging pattern is your essence, freed from the constraints you placed upon it. It is your unique purpose, no longer obscured by the layers of who you thought you were. This is the ultimate gift of initiation. Not a trophy, but a new way of being, built from the ashes of what you've survived. The wisdom of your losses becomes the compass for your new path. I think of a teacher who, after losing her sense of purpose, found it again through quiet moments of reflection. Each loss she faced of her status, certainty, and plans revealed a new pattern, a life more honest than before. She didn't find her old self again. She found her truer self, forged in the fires of her own initiations. Think of a moment you felt aligned, even briefly, a quiet realization or a choice that felt profoundly right. That's the divine pattern taking shape. And Hermeticism says it's what rises from the ashes of what you've let die. Every initiation is a death in disguise, a letting go of what clings to what must leave. These endings of identity, memory, and will are where your truest self begins. Start now. Think of a loss that changed you, a piece you released. What's emerging in its place? That is your divine pattern, and it's yours to carry forward. If this idea resonates with you, share your thoughts in the comments. What new path did a death in your life open up? Let's keep exploring together.